Hey, Doc, what was that you were smoking in the lab? It looked like a cigarette, but it wasn't lit.
Oh, it's an electronic cigarette. I designed it myself. Pretty neat, huh?
Electronic cigarette.
Yep, a liquid in the filter that turns into vapor, and you inhale the microparticles.
So that was vapor.
I'd actually rather be smoking normal cigarettes, but not in that room. The smoke would wreck the precision equipment in there, ruin all its wiring. But the vapor is just steam. It doesn't contain tar or anything like that. So I can smoke it in the lab with no worries.
Nice.
Want to try one?
Nah, I'll stick with cigars.
Yeah, but
I don't like imitations. The real thing's always better.
We all know that the last few years have been hard for Metal Gear Solid fans. Metal Gear Solid 5 didn't exactly end the way we all imagined, or begin for that matter. An entire chapter was cut, and even that chapter didn't really address the elephant in the room that was, what the hell happened to Metal Gear? Not to mention the fiasco with Konami dropping Kojima, endless chatter about it being a ruse, a phantom, and so on. But to top it all off, for English language audiences, we were left without the voice of the man who through the decades became our Snake, our big boss. Of course, I'm talking about David Hayter. Without a really good explanation from Kojima or Kojima Productions, aside from the desire for Snake to sound older, English-speaking fans were saddened and surprised to hear that David Hayter had been dropped as the voice actor for Big Boss, a role he had played for at least 3 previous games. Fans were necessarily skeptical of anybody trying to fill those shoes, but after having played the game, most of us believe that Kiefer Sutherland did justice to his role, and performed it admirably so. But that's just it. It was a role, perhaps in more ways than one. Let me explain. Venom Snake isn't Big Boss. He's a copy, put in place for a specific reason. Kiefer Sutherland isn't David Hayter. David Hayter is Big Boss. And if you were paying attention to people like Python Selkin, and not other people like YongYea or others, you would know that Kiefer Sutherland was not Big Boss. He was a copy, a fake. David Hayter even joked about Kiefer being the fake or false Snake. After the game was released, Hayter made a series of comments to various gaming outlets detailing his feelings on the subject. When asked in the Game Informer podcast if he would work with Kojima again, he said the following: "I think he handled it pretty badly, and I've got no particular love for Kojima. I respect him and think he's a brilliant game maker. I don't know him as a person, but as a businessman, I was not impressed. So no, I don't feel any need to go back and work with him again." Ouch. Pretty scathing, right? And it gets worse. When asked if he'd play the Phantom Pain, Hayter responded, "Yeah, that'll be 60 hours of humiliation that I can't wait to get to. So no, I haven't played the latest 2 iterations, because it's just too painful." So what does this mean for my theory? Well, like David Hayter, we were left with a void, a phantom. Kiefer Sutherland did a fine job, sure, but like a missing limb, we felt that something else should have been there. A more tangible explanation, some sort of rhyme or reason for David Hayter's departure from the game series that introduced us to him. After all, the Japanese voice actor wasn't replaced, so why was Hayter? Well, as with all things Kojima, there are layers to the reasoning. First and foremost, it actually makes sense for the story. We, the players, were not ever once actually playing as Big Boss, neither in Ground Zeroes nor in the Phantom Pain. So why would we have the voice of the character we weren't playing? Liquid, Solid, and Solidus are all direct clones of Big Boss, and only Solid Snake has the same voice. So why would someone who was already born, who has lived a life as his own person, all of a sudden develop Big Boss's voice, when even Liquid and Solidus didn't? That wouldn't make any sense. So story-wise, it was an appropriate thing to do. But why not just tell Hayter that? Again, it had to create the Phantom effect. We arguably didn't get a complete game. We didn't get our Big Boss, or even our Ocelot. Both of these characters were different, subdued, like they were missing something in a way. Unfortunately, David Hayter had to feel that as well. So was he really snubbed by Kojima? I don't believe that to be the case at all. Let's listen to this clip one more time.
Hey, Doc, what was that you were smoking in the lab? It looked like a cigarette, but it wasn't lit.
oh, it's an electronic cigarette. I designed it myself. Pretty neat, huh?
Electronic cigarette.
Yep, a liquid in the filter that turns into vapor, and you inhale the microparticles.
So that was vapor.
I'd actually rather be smoking normal cigarettes, but not in that room. The smoke would wreck the precision equipment in there, ruin all its wiring. But the vapor is just steam. It doesn't contain tar or anything like that. So I can smoke it in the lab with no worries.
Nice.
Want to try one?
Nah, I'll stick with cigars.
Yeah, but
I don't like imitations. The real thing's always better.
An electronic cigarette is designed to, for all intents and purposes, function exactly like the thing it mimics. In this case, a real cigarette. But as convincing as the effect may be, on a chemical level, the two couldn't be more different. In the case with Big Boss and Venom, the same thing applies. Venom may indeed be the sum of his parts and end up a functioning Big Boss, but his parts are different. Venom isn't Big Boss. Venom is us, the player. We, through the vehicle of Kiefer Sutherland, became a fake, a copy. All the while, the real, better thing was in hiding, or in this case, simply not there. A phantom. In other words, like Big Boss and Peace Walker, Kojima believed that the real thing is always better. And who is the real Big Boss? David Hayter. So Kojima, by having David Hayter not play Big Boss, he was actually showing that he admired and appreciated Hayter's work. Kojima knew his English-speaking fans would be disappointed, but it was essential to tell us the story. To speak to us, the English-speaking audience. Why didn't this happen with Akio Otsuka, the Japanese voice actor who played Snake? Why wasn't he cut? This is likely because, from a practical perspective, it simply wasn't possible. He had played too many characters in the series to be cut out. While David Hayter played only Solid and Big Boss, Otsuka played both of those characters and Solidus. And he played Solid Snake and Big Boss in both his young and old forms. In other words, practicality won over story for Japanese audiences, whereas for English-speaking audiences, it appears that we got the full story Kojima wanted to tell. The story of Lost just wasn't possible had the English voice actor for Snake played so many other roles simultaneously. In order to tell the story as closely as Kojima wanted to tell it, Hayter had to be replaced. This act, as hard as it was, serves to drive home the point that no matter how good the illusion is, the phantom is still a phantom. And the real thing? Well, the real thing is always better.